Welcome to Economics Made Easy. Today, I'm going to introduce you to one of the most fundamental concepts in economics, scarcity. What is the most stable foundation on which we should build the structure of economics? We've already discussed that the assumption of rational man is not the most basic because humans aren't always rational. Likewise, selfish human nature is also not a fundamental assumption because humans are not always selfish. So what's left? The answer is scarcity. We build economics on the premise of scarcity, but scarcity is not a hypothesis. It's a basic fact of life. As long as we live in this world, we must face scarcity. There are two reasons for scarcity. 1. What you want, others want too. 2. Human desires are constantly changing and evolving. Let's first consider the first reason. What you want, others want too. Have you ever had the experience of going to a store, finding your favorite product, and then seeing that the price is at its highest? What does this mean? It means that what you like, others probably like too. The second reason for scarcity is that human desires are limitless. When people only have wild vegetables, they crave steamed buns. When they have steamed buns, they want meat and wine. To get a bite of meat or a drink of wine, you'd have to give up many steamed buns. Once people have their steamed buns, meat, and wine, they still feel unsatisfied and say they want to appreciate art. You need more buns, more meat, and more wine to support the artists to make films or put on plays. And people might say, that's still not enough. I want to go mountaineering to fulfill my self-realization. At this point, more resources are consumed. I remember a female mountaineer who used a helicopter to cover part of her journey up Mount Everest. It seemed like a smart shortcut, but she was criticized by fellow climbers. Why? Because using the helicopter diluted the honor of reaching the summit. People wanted to ensure that the honor of summiting Everest remained rare and difficult to achieve. This kind of demand is clearly something people have deliberately created. Do you think human desires will ever be fully satisfied? They won't. I believe the day will never come when material wealth is unlimited and human desires are fully met. The concept of scarcity is wide-ranging. The most straightforward type is the scarcity of tangible resources. Iron is scarce, minerals are scarce, water is scarce, timber is scarce. This is easy to understand. But there are also intangible resources. Like beautiful scenery and fresh air, they are also scarce, which is also easy to grasp. In fact, even time and space are scarce. Sometimes the same flight offers the same physical service, but the price can vary greatly depending on the time of booking. Geographical location is also scarce. Many people say land is scarce and limited, but I don't agree with this view. When you're on a plane, looking down at the vast land, you'll realize that land is infinite. All the major cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, appear as tiny dots on the globe. Land is actually limitless. However, many cities are reclaiming land from the sea. Why? Not because land is scarce, but because location is. Trust is also scarce and cannot be built casually. Why are classmates important? Because your classmates determine your future social circle and career trajectory. Many people go to school not just for the professors, but for the classmates. Because trust among classmates isn't something that can be built overnight. You often hear people criticize modern life for creating unnecessary demands. But is there really such a thing as an unnecessary demand? Look at even the simplest pencil. It comes in different colors, shapes, and markings. To meet people's aesthetic needs, a lot of resources are consumed in its production. I remember years ago, when we first started using dandruff shampoo, I thought, is dandruff really that terrible? Do we really need to get rid of it? Or is it the advertisers of shampoo who have deliberately created this demand? Of course, you could say this demand was created artificially. But after using it repeatedly, we began to feel that not having dandruff was a basic standard of personal hygiene. Today, we are definitely cleaner, more hygienic, and more pleasant to look at than people were 20, 50, or even 100 years ago. Whenever I talk about scarcity, some students challenge me. They say, "Teacher, you say all goods are scarce, but actually, some goods aren't scarce. Once people get them, they don't need more." For example, appendicitis surgery. After you have one, you don't need another. Of course, this student is right. Appendicitis surgery and medical treatments don't require multiple instances. Once the disease is cured, you're done. But even when treating the same illness, there are different methods. Some medications have significant side effects, while others are much more comfortable. In this dimension, if you're striving for better treatment, you'll consume many more resources. Professor Joe Kyron once gave me an interesting example. There are two kinds of medications to treat high blood pressure. One is domestic, the other imported. Both work equally well, but the difference is that the domestic medicine causes trembling hands, while the imported medicine does not. If your goal is to treat high blood pressure, does it really matter whether your hands shake? Of course, it matters. So patients will choose the imported medicine. To develop a medicine that doesn't cause trembling hands consumes a lot of resources. So, do human desires have limits or not? Of course, Professor Joe made a very insightful point. When people take medicine, it's not just to save their lives, but to reduce their suffering. Think about it. Over the past 50 or 100 years, the number of diseases we know has increased, not decreased. Why? Because our standards for health have become higher. We've become more selective. Do you think our desires have a limit? I've also heard people say that the government could cover everyone's medical expenses, no matter how much they are. This overlooks the fundamental issue that human desires are limitless. I often say, a person can usually eat 3 portions, but when they go to a buffet, they can eat a whole pound. When the government covers all medical expenses, people's demand will exceed what it was before. The most basic foundation of economics is not the assumption of rationality or selfishness, but the fundamental fact of scarcity. There are 2 reasons for scarcity. First, what you like, others like too. Second, human desires are, in fact, infinite. People say that in today's world, robots do everything for us. If robots can do everything, will scarcity still exist in such a world? Feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next class. This is Economics Made Easy, where we give you authentic economic thinking.